If you're over 60, this one small habit could silently raise your risk of a stroke while you sleep. No warning, no pain. Just one moment you're fine, and the next you can't lift your arm, your speech is slurred, or your balance is gone. As a brain doctor, I've seen far too many older adults go through this, and not because of smoking, poor diet, or lack of exercise, but because of something they thought was helping. Vitamins. Yes, really, vitamins. Every day, millions of seniors take supplements hoping to protect their bones, boost their energy, or keep their... Sometimes, the most unexpected things happen when everything seems perfectly fine. You go to bed feeling well, no pain, no warning signs, and wake up to something that changes everything. Your arm won't move, your words won't come out, or your balance feels off. For many adults over 60, these moments arrive quietly, without the usual signs we've learned to watch for. It's not always about poor diet or lack of exercise. Sometimes, the things we believe are helping, like certain supplements, can carry hidden effects, especially while we sleep. That's why understanding the small choices we make each day matters. Not to create fear, but to remind us how precious our health is, and how gently we must care for it as the years go by. It's comforting to believe that vitamins are always good for us, just a little boost for our bones, memory, or energy. But as the years pass, our bodies change, and so does the way we respond to even the most familiar supplements. What many people don't realize is that certain vitamins, when taken in high doses or at the wrong time, may quietly affect our brain and blood vessels. In some cases, they've been linked to spikes in blood pressure, brain bleeds, or even strokes, especially overnight. When the body is at rest and most vulnerable, it's not about fear, it's about awareness. Knowing that even helpful things can carry risks allows us to make more thoughtful choices as we age. Because when it comes to senior wellness, timing and balance truly matter. We've all heard that vitamin D is good for our bones, our mood, even our immune system, and it's true in the right amounts. But as we get older, taking high doses without guidance can quietly lead to problems like vitamin D toxicity, increased calcium buildup, and even a higher risk of stroke. It's one of those things we don't often question until something feels off. In this stage of senior wellness, even healthy habits deserve a second look. When in doubt, it's always wise to check with your doctor, because balance, not excess, is key to lasting wellness. It's easy to think that more of a good thing must be even better. Many older adults take high-dose vitamin D, believing it will strengthen bones or boost immunity. But here's something that often gets overlooked when taken in large amounts, especially at night. Vitamin D can quietly cause calcium to build up in the bloodstream. Over time, that excess calcium may harden the arteries, reducing their flexibility and making it harder for blood to flow smoothly. This stiffness can create silent pressure within the body, increasing the risk of serious issues without warning. It's not about fear. It's about understanding how timing and dosage matter more than we realize. As we grow older, being mindful of how our body responds is one of the kindest things we can do for our health. It's often the small routines that make us feel in control, like lining up our morning vitamins. That was true for Mr. Leonard, a 72-year-old retired firefighter who prided himself on staying healthy. Every morning, without fail, he took his supplements, including a 10,000 IU vitamin D capsule he'd picked up at the pharmacy. He believed he was doing everything right. But one morning, his wife found him confused and unable to speak clearly, his right side limp. It was a stroke, and the labs told the deeper story. Extremely high calcium levels and stiff arteries. The likely cause: vitamin D toxicity. It's a reminder that even well-meaning habits can carry unexpected consequences. Especially as we age, our bodies respond differently, and sometimes, a little too much of something good can tip the balance in the wrong direction. It's reassuring to pick up a bottle of vitamins and feel like we're taking care of ourselves. But what many older adults don't realize is that some over-the-counter vitamin D supplements contain far more than the body actually needs, especially later in life. Many popular brands offer capsules with 5,000 or even 10,000 IU per serving, amounts originally intended for very specific deficiencies. Yet these high doses are often taken daily without question, simply because they're available on the shelf. The truth is, our nutritional needs change as we age. What may seem like a safe routine can slowly create an imbalance the body wasn't designed to handle. And in the quiet hours of the night, that extra strain can sometimes show up in ways we least expect. It's easy to trust our routines, especially when they have been part of our mornings for years. But as we grow older, the way our bodies absorb and process supplements begins to shift in quiet, subtle ways. That's why something as simple as taking vitamin D deserves a closer look. If you're using it regularly, especially alongside calcium or heart medications, it's wise to check your blood levels from time to time. Not out of fear, but out of care. And timing matters more than most people realize. Taking vitamin D in the morning, rather than before bed, may help your body process it more gently, without placing extra strain on your system overnight. These small adjustments aren't about doing more, but about doing what's right for where we are in life. Sometimes, the gentlest changes bring the greatest peace of mind. We often reach for vitamin E, hoping to support heart health or aging skin. But as comforting as that sounds, combining high doses of vitamin E with certain heart medications like blood thinners can quietly increase the risk of bleeding in the brain. It's something that rarely gets mentioned on the bottle, yet it matters deeply. As we age, gentle awareness becomes our best companion. It's natural to want to support our health with something as familiar as vitamin E. We hear it helps with aging, with heart health, maybe even with memory. But what many people don't realize is that at high doses, vitamin E doesn't just nourish it, can act a lot like a blood thinner. It may reduce clotting in ways similar to prescription anticoagulants. And while that might sound helpful at first, combining it with other blood thinning medications or having fragile blood vessels due to age can increase the risk of internal bleeding. Most bottles don't carry that kind of warning, yet it's something worth knowing. These aren't reasons to fear vitamins, but gentle reminders that our bodies, especially after 60, need balance more than abundance. When we understand how even good things can go too far, we give ourselves the power to choose with care. It's easy to think that if something is sold over the counter, it must be safe. That's exactly what Mrs. Clara believed when she added vitamin E to her daily routine. She had been taking warfarin for years, prescribed by her doctor to help prevent blood clots. But no one had warned her that combining it with high-dose vitamin E could quietly tip the balance too far. One evening, after feeling dizzy and unsteady, Clara was rushed to the hospital. The diagnosis: a brain bleed. It was a frightening outcome that seemed to come out of nowhere. In truth, it was the result of two well-intended actions that, together, became too much. As we age, these quiet interactions matter more than ever. And sometimes, knowing what to leave out is just as important as knowing what to include. When walking through the supplement aisle, it's easy to feel confident. So many options, so many promises. But one thing many older adults don't realize is just how strong some of these doses can be. Take vitamin E, for example. Many capsules on the market contain amounts far beyond what the body actually needs, especially in later years. Labels like heart support or anti-aging may sound reassuring. But the truth is, high doses of vitamin E can quietly thin the blood in ways that may not be safe for everyone. In the journey of senior wellness, more isn't always better. That's why reading labels closely and speaking with a doctor can make all the difference. These small steps help protect our balance, both physically and in the choices we make, because thoughtful senior health tips are part of living fully and wisely in this season of life. Sometimes, the things we take to feel better can quietly work against us over time. Vitamin B6, often praised for supporting energy and nerves, may cause harm when taken in high doses for too long. What begins as a simple habit can slowly lead to tingling, numbness, or even nerve damage symptoms that may not appear until months later. As we grow older, our bodies become more sensitive to what we put into them. That's why understanding how much is just enough becomes part of living wisely and with care. It's easy to assume that water-soluble vitamins like B6 simply leave the body if we get too much. But over time, high doses can quietly build up, especially in older adults whose systems process things more slowly. What begins as a harmless supplement can gradually lead to tingling in the hands or feet, strange sensations on the skin, or even moments of imbalance while walking. These symptoms often appear so subtly that they're mistaken for aging itself. But sometimes, it's not age, it's accumulation. In our later years, understanding how our bodies respond to what we take becomes an important part of living with clarity, comfort, and care. It started with good intentions. Mr. Raymond, a 68-year-old grandfather who loved morning walks and crossword puzzles, began taking vitamin B6 to support his energy. He found a bottle at the store labeled for nerve health and decided to try it 200 milliliters a day, every day. At first, everything seemed fine, but over time, he noticed a strange numbness in his fingers, a tingling in his feet, and a feeling of being off balance, even on flat ground. It didn't happen overnight, it crept in slowly, quietly. Eventually, his doctor traced the symptoms back to nerve irritation, caused by excessive B6 intake. Raymond was surprised. He thought he was doing something helpful. It's a gentle reminder that even well-meaning habits deserve a second glance, especially as our bodies become more sensitive with age. It's natural to assume that if something is sold on the shelf, it must be safe. But with vitamin B6, the numbers can be surprising. While the body generally only needs about 2 to 10 milligrams a day, many supplements contain 50 powders, 100, even 200 milligrams per tablet, often, without clear warnings about potential risks. These high doses might sound helpful, but taken over time, they can build up quietly and affect the nervous system. The packaging often highlights benefits but says little about limits, especially for older adults. That's why reading labels with care becomes more than just a habit. It's a way of honoring the wisdom that comes with age. Small choices, made with awareness, are part of what helps us stay steady in both body and spirit. We often think of vitamin A as something good for our eyes, but too much can quietly do the opposite. In higher doses, it may raise pressure inside the skull, leading to headaches, vision changes, or a heavy, foggy feeling. It's a subtle shift that's easy to miss, especially as we age and grow more sensitive to what we take in. It's comforting to believe that more vitamins mean better health, but not all nutrients work that way. Vitamin A, in particular, is fat-soluble, which means it doesn't leave the body easily. Instead, it stores up quietly over time, especially in the liver. For older adults, this slow buildup can become risky. As our bodies change with age, our ability to process excess vitamins becomes less efficient. What once felt harmless can, over time, lead to symptoms like blurred vision, dizziness, or pressure in the head, often mistaken for other age-related concerns. That's why being mindful of how much we take matters, just as much as why we take it. Aging with grace isn't about avoiding every risk, but about choosing with awareness and care. It began like any other morning for Margaret, a 70-year-old who enjoyed her crossword puzzle with a warm cup of tea. But that day, she noticed her vision had become blurry, and standing up left her dizzy and disoriented. Concerned, her family rushed her to the ER, fearing a stroke. After several tests, the doctors found no signs of a clot or bleed. Instead, her vitamin A levels were unusually high enough to cause the very symptoms she had experienced. Margaret had been taking a daily multivitamin and an additional vitamin A supplement, not realizing the doses were stacking up. It was a quiet reminder that even well-intentioned habits deserve a second look, especially as our bodies grow more sensitive with time. It's something many of us do without thinking. Taking a multivitamin in the morning, a separate supplement after lunch, and maybe another for skin or eye health before bed. Each one feels helpful on its own, but what's often overlooked is how these products can quietly overlap. Without realizing it, someone might be taking 2 or 3 times the recommended amount of vitamin A or another fat-soluble nutrient just by combining different bottles. The labels don't always make it clear, and it's easy to assume that more means better. But as we grow older, the balance becomes more delicate. These small missteps, though unintentional, can have real effects over time. That's why slowing down and reading the fine print is one of the kindest things we can do for our health. At first glance, niacin, also known as vitamin B3, seems like a simple, helpful nutrient. Many take it hoping to support cholesterol or circulation. But in high doses, especially without medical supervision, niacin can quietly raise blood pressure, disrupt heart rhythm, and in some cases, lead to minor stroke-like symptoms. It doesn't always announce itself loudly. As we age, even small changes in how the body reacts can carry big meaning. That's why awareness matters. Sometimes, even something meant to help can cause more strain than support, especially in a body that's growing more sensitive with age. Niacin, or vitamin B3, is known for its ability to dilate blood vessels. That sudden flushing or warmth many feel after taking it is a sign of the vessels relaxing. But what's less often talked about is what happens next. Those vessels can tighten again just as quickly. This back-and-forth reaction may lead to swings in blood pressure, which can be especially risky for older adults with delicate cardiovascular systems. While the intention behind taking niacin might be good, its effect on the body's rhythm can sometimes be unsettling. As we move through the later chapters of life, even small shifts in balance deserve our attention and care. Gentle awareness is often our best safeguard. Like many people trying to take charge of their health, Mr. Gerald read that niacin could help improve cholesterol. Trusting what he found online, he began taking 2,000 milliliters of niacin daily, hoping it would support his heart. For weeks, he experienced the usual flushing and lightheadedness, but brushed it off as normal. Then one afternoon, while reading in his favorite chair, he noticed his words slurring and his hand trembling slightly. At the hospital, doctors diagnosed him with a transient ischemic attack, a warning stroke. While there were no lasting effects, the experience left him shaken. Further evaluation pointed to his high-dose niacin regimen as a possible contributor. Gerald never meant to overdo it. He simply wanted to stay well. It's a quiet reminder that even with the best intentions, more isn't always better. In the season of senior living, thoughtful choices often mean listening not just to advice, but also to how our own body responds. It's easy to assume that if a little helps, more must be better. But when it comes to niacin, even a small jump in dosage can make a real difference. Most adults don't realize that taking more than 50 milligrams per day, though it may seem modest, should really be guided by a doctor. At higher levels, niacin doesn't just offer support. It begins to act more like a drug, affecting blood pressure, liver function, and circulation in ways that aren't always predictable. Especially in our later years, the line between helpful and harmful can be thinner than we think. That's why a little guidance goes a long way. Sometimes, we try to make healthy choices feel a little easier. Many people reach for flush-free or extended-release niacin, hoping to avoid that warm, tingling sensation. It sounds like a safer option, but even these gentle-sounding forms can carry hidden risks. The effects may not show up right away, but over time, they can still impact the liver, raise blood pressure, or disrupt the body's rhythm in quiet. Unexpected ways. Just because something feels milder doesn't always mean it's safer, especially as our bodies grow more sensitive with age. That's why listening closely to how we feel matters just as much as what the label says. As we look for ways to stay strong and vibrant, it's comforting to remember that nature often provides what we need. Whole foods like leafy greens, berries, and nuts offer nutrients in gentle, balanced forms. Unlike high-dose supplements, these natural sources work with the body, not against it. Sometimes, simple truly is wiser. Sometimes, a small shift in routine can lead to something unexpectedly good. After months of taking multiple supplements each day, Helen, a 74-year-old retired librarian, began to feel overwhelmed. Her energy dipped, her digestion felt off, and her mornings became stressful. So she made a simple change. She stopped the pills and focused on one nourishing breakfast. Each morning, she prepared a plate of scrambled eggs, avocado slices, whole grain cereal, and a handful of blueberries. Within weeks, she felt clearer, more balanced, and more herself. It wasn't magic, it was gentle nourishment, delivered in a way her body could recognize. Helen's story is a quiet reminder that health doesn't have to come in a bottle. Sometimes, it begins at the breakfast table, one thoughtful choice at a time. What happened next was quiet but meaningful. After just a few weeks of her new morning routine, Helen began to notice subtle changes. Her blood pressure readings, once unpredictable, became steady and consistent. The dizzy spells that used to cloud her mornings slowly faded away, and perhaps most noticeably, her mind felt clearer, less foggy, more present. She didn't feel like she was chasing wellness anymore. Instead, she felt like she had found a rhythm that matched her body's pace. These weren't dramatic results, but they were steady and real. It was as if her body was thanking her for choosing nourishment over overload, simplicity over excess. For Helen, it was a reminder that sometimes the best changes aren't loud, they're gentle, and they stay. It's comforting to know that some of the best support for our bodies comes from the simplest foods, those that feel familiar, natural, and nourishing. Adding more leafy greens to your plate brings gentle fiber and vital minerals. A piece of grilled salmon or a few sardines now and then offers healthy fats that keep the heart steady and the mind sharp. A small handful of walnuts or pumpkin seeds can calm hunger and support energy without weighing you down. And whole grains like oats or brown rice bring slow, steady fuel that helps you feel grounded all day long. These foods don't shout for attention. They simply show up, meal after meal, offering balance and quiet strength. In the journey of aging well, they're more than ingredients, they're trusted companions that remind us we're caring for ourselves with wisdom, not just routine. As the years go by, caring for our health becomes less about doing more and more about doing what's right. Vitamins can be helpful tools, but only when used with awareness. At this stage of life, a thoughtful approach makes all the difference. Reading labels, asking questions, and listening to how your body responds are quiet acts of wisdom. In the journey of senior wellness, it's not just about what we take, but how we choose. These gentle decisions, shaped by understanding and care, are what keep us steady. When in doubt, speaking with a trusted doctor is always a good step toward clarity. Because true senior living begins with informed choices. As we grow older, our bodies begin to speak a different language, one shaped by time, experience, and changing needs. The way we absorb and process vitamins in our later years isn't the same as it was decades ago. What once passed quickly through the system may now linger, building up quietly over time. Organs like the liver and kidneys may not filter with the same ease, making us more sensitive to dosages that once felt harmless. That doesn't mean we need less care, just more awareness. It's a gentle shift that invites us to pay closer attention, to tune in with kindness, and to recognize that aging well means adjusting the way we nourish ourselves, one thoughtful choice at a time. It's easy to think that all vitamins are helpful, simply because they're packaged with bright labels and hopeful promises. But the truth is, not every supplement is right for every body, especially as we age. What works for one person may be too much, or not enough, for someone else. That's why a little pause before we swallow can make a big difference. Reading the label carefully, asking a trusted doctor, and noticing how our bodies feel after we take something. These quiet habits matter more than we realize. They remind us that caring for ourselves isn't about chasing the newest trend, but about listening closely, with patience and wisdom. In the season of life where every choice counts a little more, the most powerful thing we can do is simply pay attention with kindness, not fear. In a world filled with advice and options, one quiet truth remains. Awareness is the best medicine. As we grow older, staying present, reading labels, asking questions, and listening to our bodies can be more powerful than any pill. It's not about fear, but about caring for ourselves with calm, steady wisdom. As we move through the later chapters of life, it's comforting to know that even small changes like being more mindful with vitamins or choosing nourishing foods can bring real peace to both body and mind. Growing older doesn't mean giving up control. It means choosing with greater wisdom, listening a little more closely, and trusting that gentle care often leads to lasting strength. You don't need to know everything. You just need to stay open, curious, and kind to yourself. The quiet act of paying attention is one of the most powerful tools we have in this season of life. So take a breath, enjoy your day, and remember, every choice rooted in awareness is a gift to your future self. This is what senior wellness and joyful senior living are truly about. If you're still here and found something meaningful in this video, feel free to comment 0 or 1 below to let me know you're watching. If this video made you smile or feel understood, we'd love to hear your thoughts. You're welcome to like, subscribe, or share it with someone special.